Let's look at the basics now on how to create a group policy. We're also going to look at something called linking group policies as well. Now, on our computer, we're logged into our domain controller right here, and hopefully you've now got a bit of an understanding around group policies. So go and watch that introduction video to group policies to learn more. But we've got a domain controller right here. This is a domain controller that is running Active Directory and is running the group policy management. And this interface is pretty much very similar across Windows Server editions, whether that be 2019, 2016, 2012, 2008. This particular one, I believe, is a 2008 server, but in the future video, when we go into how to create group policies specifically, we're going to be doing it on a fresh environment on 2019. But again, as I said, the process is going to be the same. Now, what we're going to do is in the last video, we sort of showed you a little bit of an introduction around group policy itself, how it's sort of structured, what it looks like, all that sort of good stuff. And let's look at that again briefly. I'm going to go a little bit more detail. You got your group policy management at the very top level. Forest, which is your high level forest, contains your multiple domains. And this is the domain itself, which is redcoast.com. And then within that, you've got all of your OUs, which are very similar to Active Directory, which is what we see right here. Okay, so when you go and create an OU within Active Directory, you then go into your group policy and that OU will show up. Okay, you may need to refresh it, but it'll show up in here so that you can go and actually apply and edit things right into here. Creating a group policy is very, very easy. All you literally have to do is you have to just right click anywhere in here and then say, create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Okay, right click, create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Now, the location where you create the group policy, everything underneath it by default inherits that group policy and it will have that group policy applied against it. So for example, if you want to create a group policy to change your staff members' desktop backgrounds, your wallpapers to a specific something, but maybe you only want to do it for the marketing team, but you don't want to be doing it for the sales team, well, you only need to really create that group policy under a marketing OU. So you've got a site called Australia, perhaps you've got a users list in here, and then underneath users, you've got some further OUs around the specific areas of the business, marketing, sales, others, etc. So then what you would do is you go and create that group policy directly in that OU because that's the only group of users or computers that you want that OU to apply against. Okay, so it's a hierarchy that goes from the top down, all right? So for example, I want to create a new group policy here for my Australia OU. Again, we're going to go into a lot more detail specifically around this. So this is just an introduction, and then we're going to go specifically around how to create specific OUs in the coming videos. But you would right click in Australia right here and say, create a GPO in this domain. We can click on that. We give it a name. We're going to call it a test GPO. Say OK. And there it is. That GPO is now created, but it doesn't do anything. Okay, it's just a GPO that's just been created. It's just essentially just a container, but there's actually no actions that are being performed by this GPO just yet. You can see details of this GPO. You see that it's currently enabled, give you some information around the created, the modified date. Settings shows you a report on what is within this test GPO. And at the moment, there is nothing. It is blank. You've got computer configuration. You've got user configuration. We're going to cover that in just a little while, but there's no settings defined against each. And then any delegations within there. So these groups and users have the specific permissions for this GPO. So very similar to how you're creating permissions and security within Active Directory, within file level structure. You can do that from in here if you so choose to. There's nothing in here yet. So now the next step is to go and edit this GPO and actually add something to it. Okay. So what we can do right here is we can right click on this GPO and select edit. Okay, so we've created the GPO. We now have to go and edit the GPO to be able to actually add something to it. Now, the edit GPO, of course, is exactly the same if down the track you have gone and created a GPO that you want now to change and edit. You just would right click on it and click on edit. So we can click on that right there. Your GPO manager management editor will show up. Now it's broken down into computer configuration and user configuration. And these are essentially all the areas that you can apply against this GPO specific to the computer itself. So the physical computer and anything that's running on that computer, or the user. So a user, for example, John Smith logs into computer A. It'll check that user configuration group policy and it'll apply the group policies applied against a user. John Smith then goes to computer B tomorrow and then he logs into that. And because he's a user, those group policies will also get applied to John Smith's computer B as well. He then logs into a server down the track. Perhaps he's an IT guy. It will then get applied because it's applied against his user. If you've got a computer A, computer B, and you apply some computer configuration, you're applying it against a specific computer. Perhaps computer A has some group policies, computer B has different group policies. John Smith logs into one, he then logs into another. The policies are different because it's applied against the computer. So that's the differences between computer and user. And you'll see that right in here, we've got a whole heap of preferences. You've got policies. We can do a whole range of stuff. So let's make this full screen. So we've got administrative templates, for example. So we can just go into here and then we can apply, let's say, with some Windows components. What do we want to do? We want to maybe go into our Windows, what's a good one? Windows Media Player. All right, so there's a group policy that's going to be applied to Windows components under Windows Media Player. And I could say prevent automatic updates. Well, perhaps I don't want my Windows Media Player to automatically update. So I can say enable. So it's enabled. So prevent updates against Windows Media Player is done. And then all I literally do is just close it. And now that group policy is applied and anything underneath Australia is going to hit test GPO. And then that group policy gets applied. And in this case, it's not going to be allowing me to do updates to Windows Media Player. So a user tries to go and do that manually. Well, they can't because the group policy says they can't. You can then right click on this GPO and you can say edit right in here. And then you've got access to that same area. You can add additional policies to this parent group policy object. You can go and remove the changes that you just made just by navigating to that same location. Now, let's say, for example, you've got now USA. USA has gone, hey, I like some of the group policies that Australia is using. I would like to use some of those. So rather than the USA going and creating new group policies, you can link a group policy from another location to a different OU or to a different area. So we like this GPO right here. So I can go into USA right here and I can say right click on here and I can say link an existing GPO. I don't want to go create it again, but I like to use an existing GPO that exists. So I'm going to say link. Here's a list of the GPO objects that we've already got in place. All right. So we're going to select test GPO right there. Say OK. And there you have it. So now that is in here as well, it's going to be applied. You'll see that the links are Australia and USA. So essentially it's now got two GPOs, but they're linked together across the Australia and the USA GPO. All right, very easy. So you can go and link that against somewhere else. So I've got another domain controller right here. At the moment, I don't have, I've just got the default one, but I could say link an existing GPO and now we can add that test GPO into there as well. And there it is. And you'll see that now it's linked against the 3 locations right in there. And of course, you can do that OU level. You can also do that domain level, and you can do that at the site level within the group policies. So that's just a bit of an introduction to the group policy management, how to create GPOs, how to edit the GPOs, how to make changes and things like that within it, and then how to link GPOs between other areas within group policy.